Hey, so this video is one of my one of my interests that has nothing to do with politics uh, or societies. Um, this has to do with scientific constants, things that other thinkers have proposed and that we've come to believe to be a constant, um, such as Einstein and his theory of relativity, such as what's his name, the guy that Newton and his concept of gravity. Um, I think there's a. I have been thinking about a new theory for quite some time, and it just I keep track of a lot of scientific stuff, and I- and there much like I see in the political and social and economic and all that other stuff, I see contradictions and where observable uh, facts on the ground should put questions, big warning on, like, yeah, you may, I don't think it's right. Warning, warning, warning. And so I also take a lot of stuff from my own observations. Now I haven't gotten any formal education, as I keep saying, uh, beyond beyond for K through 12. So um, I've been working on this area and I've been talking about it a little, but I've actually kind of cemented it in a perfect way, because I was just watching Joe Scott. He's got a YouTube and a social media channel, and he deals with science, and mostly he stays away from political stuff. But anyways, him and there's some other channels I pay attention to, like PBS has a channel that deals with science and engineering and all that other stuff, and Joel Scott also talks about that. So uh, I pay attention to Nova. I pay attention to a lot of stuff. Um, this isn't just coming out of left field. Made I've made this theory based on observable and as well as contradictory and other aspects. So, for instance, there's a Mexican theorist who did mathematical equation about uh, warp technology. Now the math came out, and it screams that it is very possible to create warp. But then there's the issue of gravity and weightlessness, and then there's the other about all the loose matter that even something the size of a grain of sand would could cause a massive amount of damage if it hits a ship traveling near light speed or at light speed. Also, there's a whole thing of, if you travel almost at the speed of light, you basically are time traveling. 12 years may have passed, but on the ship, but uh, thousands of years could have passed on Earth. See, that's something that hits me, hits a nerve, and it's always I always scream. It always screams at me as being uh, not right. So here's my theory in a nutshell. My theory is that space and time are two totally separate things. Space is a physical matter. It's closely there's some closer causal relations, but it's not perfectly matched with the matter and that we call planets, stars. The other physical matter that's floating, that's moving around, not floating, moving around space. Think of space as being the outside of your body, the muscles and tissues and all that other stuff, and that the organs and all the other really important things are inside as being able to operate and do what they do, because the body adds the exterior body adds the dimensions of protecting the interior, but also applying the forces necessary for your organs and all the other good stuff that we need to survive, to live, to exist. So it's a control. It's a control mechanism. It's a exterior that applies force internally, so that your heart can do what it does, your lungs can do what they do, the all the other stuff. Uh, so think of space kind of like that, or how blood travels through your body through veins, and the veins are applied. The pressures from the body apply the forces, as well as the direction and all the other stuff, to allow the blood to travel through your body. Uh, so um, and that's and so the causal relations is that space is actually what we applying that pressure is what gravity actually is. It's not an unknown force. It's not coming out of nowhere. It's not this imaginary idea of some sort of exotic particle that's uh, the causing the effects that we know as gravity. Um, so I like to consider. I was thinking in terms of, one of the reasons I came up with this is because there's a common thing that runs through a lot of fantasy, as well as you know um, fantasy anime and fantasy books, and so on and so forth. Is that it's an old concept of order and chaos, um, and how order and chaos work in tandem to balance out. And that's the theory of yin and yang. So think of the exterior of your body in space as being yin, and the all the internal goodies are yang. So in yin and yang, there's a push and pull, and that's how we have the order, the order within chaos that we call reality and existence. So this is a theory that I've come to, and it was funny because I was just wrote that comment on Joe Scott. It's a 6 month old video about anti gravity. Um, so it's something I've made comments on a lot of channels dealing with stuff like this, and the comment has been about what I'm just talking about now, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because if we if my uh, if my hypothesis if my theory is correct, and there are merits to it, I think it would fundamentally change how we view science and how we do mathematics. And that understanding, I think, would lead us to to points where science fiction becomes science fact, where anti gravity isn't some lunatic fringe scientific. Oh, it's it's imaginative and so on and so forth. I think we could actually. I think it would make it relatively far more easier and more feasible to figure out ways based on this new scientific add-on and change of old theories and hypotheses. Um, and I think it would change us to a new scientific constant and allow us to achieve things that we can imagine and dream of and we call fantasy and fiction. I think we could, it would have drastic, immediate effects. Even with the flaws, we've achieved a lot in science and engineering and all that. So I think it would change, for instance, another aspect I think it would change is thermodynamics. Uh, I think it would change, it would have applications in everything. And such as what we consider renewable, how we can produce energy uh, that we need, and basically make our lives easier, and also make it easier for us to allow for building a human world that includes nature and leaves the natural world better off than we are currently doing, because we're currently just basically completely and utterly rampaging and pillaging our and killing our natural world, and therefore killing ourselves. So that's it. Uh, I I've also sent emails and other stuff to people who study these sort of things, but no doubt, no doubt, I'm not being taken seriously or even considered. And I'd really like to talk to somebody who has gone through the education and so on and so forth, and still has an open mind and would actually consider what I have to say, and actually do it in a definitive way where you can actually use mathematics to confirm, because there are certain things that mathematics theories have confirmed that become, so that it's hard to ignore. Um, so, as I said, I think it would change theoretical constances. It would, I think it would debunk certain parts of string theory while strengthening string theory. I think it would. I think it would change a lot, and and I think too often there are people who are in the scientific and engineering and other communities that get set in stone, uh, and and they also become too obstinate, especially like Hawkins. I forget get the first the guy's first name, but he's the one that was in that wheelchair. He suffers from something that he was born with, but he's become one of the pillars of the scientific community. And but while he has done some, he has contributed. Uh, he's become he's become arrogant to the point of being redundantly stupid. Uh, and what brilliance he might have had uh, is offset by his pomposity, uh, and that has to do with ego. That has to do with fame. That has to do with getting. Yeah. Anyways, I won't go any further. But basically, that's what I wanted to talk about, and if anybody's interested in those areas and finds it, maybe you like what you hear here and think about what I have to say and perhaps get the word out. All right, thanks.